Welcome to Vampire Radio! You are watching Vampire Radio here on the Monte and Pharaoh channel. Of course, I'm your hostess, the mostest, Shelly from Kelly. And of course, I'm joined by the podcast dog, Minnie the Moocher. And to add to the roster, we have Jack Martinez. And this is the new Vampire Radio crew. Yes, very exciting, I know. So, Jack Martinez. I've had him for almost 3 months now. On another episode, I'll explain the whole story, whatever. It's a cute story. But he's been with us, for almost 3 months now. That's Minnie's boyfriend. And right now they're in their courtship. And eventually they will fall in love and they will get married. So stay tuned for that. So I've had to redo this. Here we go. Full on Shelly style, right? So long story short, it's been a journey to get this episode up and ready, but here I am. I'm down. It is in the wee hours of the morning and I threw on a little bit of makeup. Didn't even do my hair. It is freezing here in the Batcave. So not only do I have a hoodie, but I have my freaking Dunder Mifflin, thank you very much, robe on because that's just what it is today. And, I wish you guys were seeing the cute outfit I had on days ago, but I guess you're just going to have to wait because it was really cute. So stay tuned for that as well. So if you've been with me, you know that I've had so many different podcasts. I started doing podcasts in 2009 and, I was thinking about it. I was like, really? I didn't really start in my head a podcast because in the early days in 2009, 2010, my first one was Funtime Radio and I called it Funtime Radio, right? And then I had Martinez Girls Radio when I was doing it with my sister. And then I had the Wake and Bake morning show. And then there was Save Wrestling and Shelly Live. Okay, so those are all of my... Oh, and Talking Shit with my homegirl, shout out Amanda Rodriguez, ACR herself. And there's a theme here, people. You see, there's a theme, right? I always call it radio or it's these shows. So to me, I remember it was about 2008, 9-ish, early 9-ish maybe. I was told what a podcast was because at that time I was doing live streams with my Funtime Gang, which was my first member site that I had after being in WWE and everything and having a fan site. That was my first one. It was on ShellyMartinez.com. So there was this producer friend of mine and he was like, you got to do a podcast. And I was like, no, I really want to get into broadcasting. I want to get into radio somehow. Maybe because I've been in WWE and TNA. I have some pull somewhere. I don't know. Sometimes that means something. And I was really fixated on trying to get on radio. Even if it was just talk radio on an AM channel, that was my goal. The reason why that was my goal is because I've been into broadcasting since I was a little kid in the sense of I love radio. I used to record radio talk shows and morning shows, and when they would have little breaks in between their sentences, I would correspond because I would be pretending like I was on these radio shows. So when I started Funtime Radio, that's when I was over there with good old Blog Talk Radio. Who remembers Blog Talk Radio? Let me know in the comments. And when I was doing Blog Talk Radio, I loved it, even though the sound wasn't the best because it sounds like AM radio, right? But I was able to take live calls. I had little bumpers, so I was able to play sound effects right there, like the whole switchboard. And I just was like, I love doing Funtime Radio. I had some amazing guests on there. And here's what sucks. You could still see my Funtime Radio episodes, but you can't hear them. And it sucks because I had some amazing guests. I had freaking House Sparks. I had RVD, Mick Foley. I had so many different people on Funtime Radio. I loved it. So anyways, my point is, I was kind of like, podcast, no, that's not what I'm interested in. And it kind of evolved my shows to podcasts because, that's the era we live in right now. So, I've been doing the podcast thing for many years, calling it a podcast, marketing it as a podcast, and it's had its ebbs and flows, but never really stuck the way that I hoped it would. So, I had said before, and I will say it again, I'm going through my midlife crisis right now. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm enjoying it. And the more I embrace it, the more I enjoy it. So if you needed to hear that, there you go. So with my midlife crisis, I decided that I want to relive in my own way the early 2000s, 2000 to 2013, that chunk of years of my life. And in revisiting that's part, especially towards the tail end of that, that's when I was really doing my YouTube thing hard. Now, look, I've been doing YouTube on and off for a really, really long time, just as much as I've been doing podcasting, pretty much. But at the end of the day, wrestling always took me away from full on committing to these things because it was just hard for me to juggle it all. It's really hard. And positive vibes to people that can do it, especially if you're doing it all on your own and you don't have a team. Like, that's a lot of work. And so for me, I was just like, I would teeter totter. I would create a lot but I was on the road and whatever. So I want to relive that era of my life during this midlife crisis. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm done with podcasts. I'm done. I'm just going to go back old school, early 2000s style and have YouTube series. So that's why I thought, you know what? I was chit-chatting with the Monte and the Pharaoh, and we came to the conclusion of why not try Vampire Radio over here on the Monte and the Pharaoh channel. I think it's a good move. Let's see what happens. If it blows up in my face, oh well, I'm used to it. All right, well, let's take a little break ski here. Here's some cool stuff to watch with some cool music here on this early Monday, at least for me. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend, a happy new year. And I have some things to say about that, so join me right after this. Okay, you guys, let me tell you something. With, it's the whole thing. This has been a new year, whatever. Now, I kind of go back and forth on how I feel about New Year's and all this because it's really just a day. You can restart or you can commit to yourself at any time. So to me, without getting too deep, it's BS. But I also appreciate that there's so many different people out there at the same time putting energy and focus and trying to better themselves. And that's energy, right? Energy is everything. So I think it's cool to maybe not put too much focus on it, but be like, okay, yeah, I'll participate in the sense of that's a lot of energy going on. Maybe I can tap into that and it can help me in my journey, right? So in saying that, I learned a lot last year, dude. I'm going to go ahead and say this. 2025 broke me. It broke me, bitch. But it's okay. It broke me down many, 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 many times in ways I never thought in a gazillion, bajillion years would ever effing happen. Let me just say that. But it did. And it is my opinion, because I've been living through it, that God has put me through these trials and exposing different things and showing me. And when I say expose, I don't mean it like, ooh, expose. I mean like things I needed to know about. I needed to be in the know. So in the cliche way, I leave that all in the past in 2025, moving forward. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't sting, all the stuff that I went through. Especially in this one particular area of my life, dude, that's what broke me the hardest, dude. That is what broke me. But dude, in that brokenness, like I learned so freaking much about myself, about others. So even though it's a lot, I get it. And it had to happen. And through all this, you can call me crazy because I can be. I really feel I timeline shifted. And I'm on a different timeline now. I had a choice. I was at what they say fork in the road, right? And I timeline shifted. And it really made, when I was sitting here thinking about, okay, what am I going to talk about? having to finally get this done now, redoing it. What am I going to talk about? Because I like things to be organic, right? And then that's when I was like, dude, this timeline shift is such a trip to me because I feel it. It sucks the people that are no longer along for the ride. And I mean that in a good way, like in a yes, I want them along the ride with me. But it also reminded me of how people who haven't been in my life for many years, even if it's just been a year, they know an older version of me, the outdated version of me. And even though there's still parts of me that's that version, you know, that version no longer exists, especially now I timeline shifted. So it doesn't exist. So that's when I was like, you know what? If people want to have their like little opinion of me, or people want to remember me and the actions of my past, fair enough. But I'm not going to let it bother me or weigh me down anymore, because that version of me just doesn't exist anymore. After what I went through this past year, that version of me is gone. It is not here. This is a completely different Shelly with some of the same components. And it really allowed me to release some of that pressure that's just been pulling down on my soul, you know? And I was like, dude, I have to share this. And maybe this is why it was meant for me to have to record this right now and talk about things that wasn't the original topics and this and that and the other, to get this moment now, not just for myself, but for at least one person out there that may need to hear this. All right. Well, let's take another music break. And when I come back, we'll chit chat some more. All right. If you don't know, now you know. I have another YouTube series that's on my main channel. So no confusion in links there, which is Shelly Martinez channel. That's linked below. And it's called TMI and it's with my friend Chad. Now, Chad was co-hosting the Eyes Up Here podcast with Francine, and she decided to change up her content. And so Chad thought, you know what? Why not collab with Shelly? And I said, that's great. So Francine passed the torch of Chad down over to me, and we did our first episode. We recorded it a couple weeks ago, and it's really awesome. It's called TMI, Too Much Information, because you know me, I'm always giving a little TMI, and we had a great time. We talked about all kinds of stuff that you don't want to miss, and that episode is going to be debuting on my Shelly Martinez channel this Friday. So, and I'll be in the chat room live watching with you guys. So make sure to go on over there if you're not already. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss it. Hit the notification bell. And here's a little clip that's up on my Instagram right now from the show, that our first episode of TMI.
And so my friends are like, Shelly, why are you talking to this guy? So then we go and there's a line to get into the rainbow. We finally get in, we get seated. I could see where the line is and I see that guy again. And so he's with all these people. And I'm thinking he's not going to get in here for a long time, right? So all of a sudden, I swear, Chad, I swear, I have 2 vouchers. All of a sudden, he was just kind of there. Here's the thing, though. Let me tell you something, Chad. We'll start this off. TMI. You want some TMI?
Well, I want the TMI. That's why we're here.
So another time I was at the Viper Room, one of like my side gigs I would do, this is during my TNA days, is I would be like a Kelly Bundy kind of go-go dancer for bands sometimes. And so there was this band and they were really good. I wish I could remember their name. And I was the girl on stage dancing while they were performing at the Viper Room. And let me tell you, I don't care if you guys watching this think I'm crazy. This is the truth. And I have 2 people that were with me that are vouchers. Okay. I have 2, not 1, but 2 vouchers with me. So I go and perform. My friends come to see. It was really awesome. So across the street from the Viper Room is the world famous Rainbow Bar and Grill, which during the heyday of the metal era here, 80s and 90s, more the 80s, it was a staple point for people like Guns N' Roses, everyone would go to the Rainbow. So, and when you go there, especially on a busy night, you feel like you kind of stepped into 1980. It's really awesome. So me and my friends are walking across the street. We go into the Rainbow because we would always go to the Rainbow, especially because at that time, medical marijuana was the thing. It wasn't recreational. And that was like one of the only places that you can openly smoke out, like where you're eating. So as we're walking, there's this dude walking. I see it right now. He was dressed in this way where it was very like, it just stood out, but it wasn't flashy. And he starts talking to me and he goes, yeah, I'm from Texas. I go, I hate Texas. Now, the reason why I said that was my dad died in a car accident in Texas. So I always thought that Texas was like a curse to me. Right. So he goes, really? And then he opens up his cigarette case and he goes, would you like a cigarette? I go, oh, I don't smoke. I go, what kind of cigarette is that? He goes, tobacco. I go, I don't smoke. Tobacco's wacko. I don't smoke cigarettes. He goes, oh, I swear to God. He closed it, turned it upside down, opened it, and then there was a mysterious joint in there. He goes, here you go. And I was like, what? He goes, consider it a gift from Texas. Because I didn't tell him why. And I was like, I'm good. And so my friends are like, Shelly, why are you talking to this guy? So then we go and there's a line to get into the Rainbow. We're in the line. We finally get in. We get seated. I could see where the line is and I see that guy again. And so he's with all these people. And I'm thinking he's not going to get in here for a long time, right? So all of a sudden, I swear, Chad, I swear, I have 2 vouchers. All of a sudden, he was just kind of there, like at our table. And me and my friends go, and I was like, how did you just get here? Because you were just over there. You were in that line. And he was just like, whatever. And he was talking. And I swear to you, the servers that were there and everything almost acted like he wasn't there. But me and my friends were interacting with him.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
then we go and I'm just like talking to, at this point, I'm so intrigued, right? And so I'm just like, whatever. And I can't even remember what we talked about, but I remember just challenging him, not in an aggressive way, but in a like, who are you? What's going on? Like, don't try to work me, brother. So then the bar closes. We're the last ones to leave. We're walking with this guy. We cross the street and he's like, come follow me. Come follow me over here. And I had one of the people I was with a guy, and then the other one was a girl. And so my girlfriend, she was like so distracted and talking to this other guy that was like with this person. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, Chad, it hit me. Since I was a little girl, I would have a dream up until my young, like maybe early 20s, this dream about the devil. And he would get older with me. When I was a little girl, he was little and he'd get older. And I looked at this guy, I go, I know who you are. And he smiled. He put his hands behind his back. He kissed my left shoulder and he said, if you ever want to see me again, just look up the word. And I know I'm going to say it wrong. Mephilopheles or whatever. And I said, I know who you are and you are not going to hurt us. And he was like, like I said, if you ever want to see me again, just look it up. And then we walked away and my friends were like, Shelly, what is going on? This is so weird. And I said, dude, I swear we just met the devil. And then I said, feel that hot. I said, feel that hot thing up your spine. And they're like, how do you know I have a hot thing up my spine? I said, because he's mad. I just told you. And so I go to work at TNA. Homicide had, I think it was his cousin, visiting set that day, and we're hanging out. I really got along with him, and I told him the story, and he goes, "Oh yeah," and he said the word right. He goes, "You know what that is, right? That's like a demon. That's like another word for the devil." I said, "Exactly. That's what it was," and I tripped the f out. And to this day, when I see those two friends of mine, which is very rare, it's always brought up because it was one of the weirdest things. So then when later things come out where here in town, when you're an actress here in town, you find out some little rumors that like now people are like, oh, conspiracy theories, all these things that are talked about now. Dude, we used to talk about them back in the day. We just didn't have a computer to be posting about. So when it came out that like there's like satanic homes in that area that have rituals, and that's where like these rich people go, and like that's where famous people go before they're famous. I'm like, dude, I feel he was leading us to one.
Wow. Holy crap. Oh my God, I got so many questions and we're not even 5 minutes into this show. Holy shit. I mean, you were literally running with the devil right there. Damn. So
and I'm not down with the devil either. I am all about the Lord. I am all about God.
But that's crazy. So you think like that whole thing with the, the tobacco right inside the cigarette, that wasn't your fancy. So he was able to flip it over and had what you wanted inside. Had you taken a hit off of that, God knows where you would have been with one puff of whatever that stick was.
Because I saw it with because here's the thing. One of the reasons why I was so eager to get to the Rainbow is because one of my favorite things to order there is a bottle of champagne and their fruit and cheese platter. And so I had been dancing all night. So I was like totally sober, ready to let loose. So when this happened, I was very of sound mind. I didn't even have time to medicate. So one could say, oh, maybe you're too high. No, because I was working and not only that, I was up there dancing for like an hour and a half. So like, I had no time to have a drink or to medicate. I was very aware of what was going on. That's why when he was like, oh, and he had this like mischievous smile and then turned it over and then whatever. And one can say, oh, maybe it was some sort of like illusion, but how did he know that it was a joint that I was going to be asking for?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's my first thought was that it was pick your poison. It was, you don't want this? Well, I have this. And it was this magic case. Man, that's freaking nuts.
I know. It to this day, I think of it whenever I go to that area. I can't help but think of it. And that, like I said, this happened when I was in TNA. So it was a long time ago. But It was such a real moment that like, I just wish I could remember what I was talking to him about. And then when I've talked about it to one of the people that were there, they were always like, the one thing they always say was, it's like everyone else didn't acknowledge he was sitting there except to us. That's what's crazy about it. I'm like, I know, dude. I know.
See, but that's the thing about, Hollywood, that area, the Viper Room, the stories you've heard your whole life. If you're on the outside, obviously, I haven't been there. I wouldn't survive 4 seconds there. I'd be done. They literally chew me up, spit me out within the first half hour I'm there. But I'm fascinated with the stories that come out of there. And again, we'll talk about some stories as we get into this show, maybe even relating to some of this stuff slightly. But that, to me, that is 100% what I would believe to happen in places like that. That is incredible.
Dude, that's a true story. Everything said in that, true freaking story. So make sure once again to go over to Shelly Martinez channel here on YouTube and subscribe, put the notification bell on, and go watch my content. I used to be monetized on there, and then things changed. They kicked me out of there, and it's just been so hard to get it monetized again. Mostly my fault, because it's just watched hours I need. I need more watched hours to finally get back my YouTube monetization. So even if you just push play all for my videos and you're not even in the room, please do it so I can just get those hours, because I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, you guys. Today's episode was kind of just chill, right? But hey, that's what's up, because it's early. I had some things to say. We got the episode up, the debut here on the Monte and the Pharaoh channel. Thank you very much. There will be a new episode every Monday, so make sure to hit the notifications. If you're not subscribed on here, what are you doing? Come on, subscribe here. There's so many awesome videos to go check out. Videos that I'm not in, all kinds of different, look, just go look, poke around here on the Monte and Pharaoh channel. So many awesome videos. You're probably a wrestling fan if you're watching this, and there's a lot of wrestling content on here, cool interviews and all that. So go watch them, comment, tell them Shelly sent me to this. Let's get interactive on here, because that's what it's all about back in the early 2000s. And join me on my midlife crisis, people. You want to join me? It'll be fun. It'll be fine. And of course, if you want some exclusive content from me, go to my exclusive fan club, which is the Secret Society. Just go to patreon.com/Shelly Martinez. That is where you're going to get everything. That's where you can be a Vampire Radio VIP, where you get all kinds of cool perks. And then you can also join my Secret Society. And you can also join on there for free. You can just join on there for free. I do a lot of free posts on there. And if you want to be old school about it, just go to Shelly'sSecretSociety.com. You want to find all my official links? No problem. Just go to ShellyMartinez.net/links. Everything's there for you. All right, you guys. Until next time, hopefully next week's episode will go smoothly when I record it this week and put it all together for you, but we shall see. I am Shelly, and I am Lucha, and you never know what the hell's going to happen over here. Okay, until next time, I'm Shelly from Kelly, and I'll be smelling all of you guys later. Adios.
Hurry back, and remember to bring your death certificates. Hurry back.
You a little bit nervous today?
Feel great.